Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials.
Good morning, it's 7 o'clock on Saturday the 1st of October. Just making my way down to the land, and as always, not quite sure what we're going to get done today, but let's find out. Well, here we are down on the land. It's a cool and very damp morning this morning. We had quite a lot of rain last night, actually. Not real heavy rain that wakes you up. So yeah, we had quite a bit yesterday. Very wet underfoot, actually. Sky's brightening out though, so who knows. Weather is really unpredictable, totally, and quite unseasonable. The temperatures we've been having this last few weeks, considering we're going through September, yeah, cool for the time of year, put it that way. But keep on plodding on. So I'm going to get myself opened up, sort the chickens out as usual, get the kettle on, probably. Bloody rabbits. They still try to get into that tree. I don't know what the attraction is, I really don't. Yeah, get the kettle on, probably stick a bit of heat on because it is cool, and we'll see what we're going to get done today. Have to warn you though, outside of the cabin chat, probably not a great deal, as I have got another video to do. If you've been watching the community tab, you'll know what that's all about, so I'll catch up with you shortly. Well, first things first, as usual, sort the chickens out. They're quite happily pecking around the mixed corn and seeds that I've just popped down. We'll of course be back later with a bit of greenery because it is the weekend. So let's have a little look in the coop, see what eggs we've got, and go see about that coffee I want. Well, good morning. It's the weekend again, and it's a cool, very wet weekend. Loads of rain last night. You get those big downpours that wake you up. I had one of those. So it is quite wet underfoot on the field today, so not a great deal going to be going on, though I will try and do a little bit of a harvest because I'm needing some potatoes. Talking about harvests, one of my friends, if you're watching, hi Matt, he popped down, and you might have seen it in the community tab. He helped me out with my pest problem, the rabbits, which of course helped him out in terms of free fresh meat. I'll put a picture up in the video. He bagged 4 rabbits. And it's quite noticeable actually, because they normally activate the cameras, the CCTV around the cabin, pretty much every day, 3, 4, 5 times a day. Since Matt's visit, I think he's been focusing on the ones that live literally just across from the cabin door. I think he's focused on them because there's been a distinct lack of activity on the cameras. So again, thanks Matt. Enjoy the rabbit stew, or whatever you do with them. And next time, don't forget to bring your knife so you can clean a couple up for me and leave them here. Again, on the subject of weather, feeling for our American cousins as Hurricane Ian has made landfall. Quite badly hit Cuba, with over 11 million people lost their power supply, and really hit the Florida coast. Lots of pictures on the news of really bad flooding in Florida, so fingers crossed for you all. Hope that nobody on the channel's been affected by that, and that whoever has been affected can quickly recover. So in terms of the big wide world, if I were to reach across and grab the conspiracy theory tinfoil hat, do you know what? Go on, let's do it. It is still there. I've resisted the temptation. It would seem that all of these little crises we're having, they are so interconnected and they so suit the current Western political agenda of let's just wipe out Russia. You would be inclined to think that somebody might be putting their ducks in a row, lining up all these little crises to achieve their real objective, but also to get us convinced. Anyway, enough of the conspiracy theory and on to the actual problems. So, mentioned Russia there. You'll remember that, or is it a week, 10 days ago, Putin said that he was going to do a mobilization of part of his reserve army, not all of it, but enough, certainly in terms of numbers. That caused a bit of a stir in the media, and again, conspiracy theory. As the Russian government announced that they were going to have referendums in these 4 eastern regions of Ukraine, that fall onto the Russian border, and which incidentally is the place where all of this military activity has been going on. As that referendum was announced, all of a sudden, the major pipeline that provides gas into Europe, mysteriously, there were 4 explosions on the 2 pipelines, and the actual gas supply, obviously, if the pipelines burst, which they were, the gas is stopped. So where there was still some gas flowing into European countries, there isn't anymore. There's lots of proposals, accusations, speculation in the media as to how this occurred, whether it was actually bombs that were used or whether it was some kind of cyber attack, and of course who actually did it. If you watch the mainstream media channels, they will tell you it's 100% Russia did it to themselves. Some of the non-mainstream media point to America, which did declare back in, I think it was January, February, when this second Nord Stream 2 pipeline was just about to be opened officially, and Germany was getting all excited because they were going to have lots of new gas at cheaper prices. The Americans came out at that time and said, don't do it, Germany. We don't want that pipeline supplying gas to Europe. We'll definitely take action if you go ahead and sign the deal and open the pipeline. So it's not beyond the realms that this was at the behest of America, and whoever did do this, whether it was the Americans or some proxy, there is a fair chance that it was. I'll let you do your own research, dig around, and form your own opinion as to who actually did this. Would the Russians deliberately blow up their multi-trillion-dollar pipeline just after it was completed? Would they lose hundreds of millions of dollars of, or rubles, of gas revenue? I would suspect not. But as I say, make your own mind up. The referendums did go ahead on Friday, and pretty predictably those 4 regions voted to join Russia. The Russian Federation. So there was a little ceremony in, I can't remember where it was now. Anyway, they all got together and shook hands on the deal. So now it's pretty clear why there was that Russian mobilization. It wasn't really about invading Europe and taking on NATO in a full-blown war, it was around, well, it's not happened yet, but I'm speculating, it's around, now that these regions are officially, in the eyes of the regions and Russia, officially part of Russia, they'll just ship all those troops into that region and create the new east-west border along those lines. And of course, now that they are part of Russia, if anyone does attack those regions, which is a fair chance that somebody's going to, then it is an all-out war against Russia, and Russia will feel obliged to take whatever action they deem necessary against whoever it is that's been attacking those regions. So that's a very, very, very volatile situation now. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out as we head towards winter. Winter's not a great time for anybody to be fighting a war, so I would suspect that Russia will want everything tidying away before the end of the year and what is in those parts of the world a really bad winter. So keep your eye on that and see how that pans out. But since that pipeline has been hit, there's only one way that gas prices are going to go, and that's even further up. And that will have another massive knock-on effect on economies all over the world. Talking about economies, anybody who watches economies, financial markets, will know that September is usually a bad month anyway, but this September's proven to be pretty spectacularly bad. Here in the UK, we've had a high inflation rates and high bank borrowing interest rates for months now, and everyone's kind of getting used to it. They're not happy, but it's become predictable that every month both inflation and interest rates are going to go up. But this month in particular, last week, we saw something pretty significant and pretty serious here in the UK. The pension funds that invest into the financial markets and essentially gamble with your pension money to try and make a little bit of money for you, but mainly a lot of money for the banks and the pension funds, they stepped in and said, because of the state of the financial markets, we're actually losing money, and our creditors, the banks, are doing what's called a margin call. It's where the value of the asset that you've borrowed money against drops against the value it was when you took out that loan or that borrowing, and they want us to pay them the difference between what it was worth when we took the loan out and what it's actually worth now. I hope that's a decent explanation of what a margin call is. So yeah, the banks went knocking on the pension funds' doors and said, give us a load of money. Pension funds went, we haven't got any. It's all gone. It's all been gambled away in the financial markets. So they went to the Bank of England and said, if you don't give us some money, do something soon to fix this problem, like today, all of the pension funds are going to get wiped out. They're all going to go bust. And all those people who had invested the money into the pension funds are going to lose it, which would have been pretty significant. So Bank of England did what they could and started borrowing loads of money themselves, just printing it essentially, in order to start buying all of these bonds, these financial instruments on the financial markets that the pension funds have been gambling with. They started buying them, we'll buy all of them, and put the word out on the markets and said, don't worry, we'll buy them all. So of course the price of the bonds started going back up again. Banks were happy, pension funds were happy, but we won't be happy, me and you, Joe Public taxpayer, because of course that printing of money is exactly what got us into this position in the first place. So as the Bank of England merrily prints more to buy these bonds and save the pension funds and help out the banks to make more profits, that money is going to have to be paid back at some point by me and you, the general public. in the form of taxation. So yeah, pretty major cock up in the financial markets this week. All of this is adding to the woes. We've seen banks withdraw mortgage products, so people who want to buy a house and wanted to fix in interest rates now, even though they have almost doubled over the last year, the banks have turned around and said, do you know what, that's a gamble even we're not going to take. Let's stop selling that kind of mortgage product. So around 40% of mortgages just got withdrawn from the market. So people who are trying to buy a house or refinance a house are now having major problems getting a mortgage. And of course, the interest rates keep on going up. Again, Bank of England put out a note saying that interest rates were definitely going to be going up again in the following months. So October, November, December. News article saying that already mortgage repayments are up 50%. I think I touched on this last week in the cabin chat. So of course the stock markets, financial markets all started diving down again. The value of the pound dumped yet again. And of course the value of the pound dumping with the combination of the inflation rates rising just adds to the woes of me and you. It means our spending power is less, in addition to the prices going up. There were a couple of news articles around talking about the cost of fueling the normal car and how much that had gone up. Really also interesting to note that the saviour of the planet, the electric car, and how everyone was encouraged to run out and buy electric cars because it was way cheaper to recharge your car than it was to put petrol or diesel in your car. Interesting article came out in the news this week. The cost of recharging your electric car has gone up by around 42%. So, yeah. Also another article about interest rates and cost of living from the EU. Their inflation rates are actually worse than us in the UK. We're at, I think, 9.9% was the last published figure. There were some figures published for mainland Europe, the European Union, this week. Their average is 10%, so slightly higher. But some of those countries are significantly higher. I think there were a few at 12%, one at 14%, but one of them, Estonia, God help them, their inflation rate is 24%. So it just goes to show, even in these developed, stable democracies of Europe, with sound fiscal policy, or so they would tell you, I wouldn't want to be in Estonia. I'm struggling enough with the 9.9 declared inflation rate, which we know is double at least. So I wouldn't want to be in Estonia with a declared rate of 24% and have actual double that in reality. That wouldn't be good at all. So lots and lots still going on. All of these things, as I said back at the start of the chat, you would be forgiven for thinking that some elite global power were deliberately lining their ducks up to create this mother of all crises and have the excuse to lock us all down again and get us under control and be guided, so to speak, by them as to what we should or shouldn't be doing in our daily lives and what we can or can't spend our money on. So I would encourage you all to start, if you haven't already, getting your ducks in a row as to how you're going to cope with this, because as much as I want to try and avoid the doom and gloom, this is only going to get worse over coming months. I've said it a lot of times in recent videos. I do anticipate a really bad winter this winter, and indeed winter does progress into the new year 2023, so it's only going to get tougher, folks. I hate to say it, but it is. But the key message, you can do things about it, and I talk endlessly on the channel about things that you could be doing, should be doing to get your ducks in a row and prepare for what is coming. Take a look at the key areas that you think you're going to need to focus on, and which I think you're going to need to focus on in winter. Predominantly they're around income protection, so trying to mitigate the effects of inflation, interest rate rises on whatever borrowing it is that you have. Try and stabilise your finances. Lots of companies are looking to cut back, mine included. We have a 5-storey office building in central London, which is where I pop off to regularly. So when I say I've been to London, that's generally where I'm going. And they've been talking for the last few months. Off the back of COVID, they were desperate to get everybody in and back in the office and working rather than working from home. They'd kind of enjoyed and seen the benefits of the cutback in spending for them in heating and lighting the office and powering all of the computers while people were at home, but they were finding the productivity was dropping. Surprise, surprise. With people working from home, so they wanted to get them all back in the office. However, since the cost of living crisis and the financial market turmoil that we've had, it's hit their bottom line, their profits. And as people have been forced back into the office, of course, the cost of maintaining the office has increased. So all of the cost of energy to keep the offices heated and, or cooled and lit and powered up has dramatically gone up. So companies are really feeling the pinch of that. They're passing it on where they can in terms of price rises to me and you for whatever service they provide, but they're having more and more difficulty in continuing to pass on these bigger increases. So they're looking to cut back. One way of cutting back is jobs. So the job market that was booming literally at the back of COVID is no longer booming, and companies are looking to cut cost elsewhere. The company I work for, they're actively trying to get rid of 2 of these 5 floors of the office building and either sell them or rent them out. So there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of employment and stability of employment as we head into the end of this year and the start of next. So look at getting your personal economic situation as secure as possible. Make sure your job is secure. If not, consider moving it. If you can cut costs, then please cut costs. If you can get rid of borrowing, get rid of borrowing, and save yourself those interest rises that are continuously coming as we go through this year and into next. Have a look at your food supply. Food has gone up massively, at least minimum double digits. I would personally say over the last year, at least 25-35%, and in some cases for certain products doubled and perhaps even trebled for some. So buy now while it's still available and at the price it is now before it goes up. But for sure buy it before it runs out. Given all of the things that's happened with the global food supply this last year, 2 years, I really do expect to see more and more shortages. Energy, look at your energy. You'll know from my previous video comment last week and the post I put in the community tab during this week about my parcel arriving. I'm actively looking to see what I can do to mitigate both the cost of energy, but more importantly, the potential loss of energy as we head into winter and demand surges. I'm looking at alternative ways of heating the home. I've got backups in place now. I'm looking to add to my electricity redundancy. So if the power does go out, I'm looking to make sure that I can keep at least the essentials running. And I'll do a video at some point over the week about my latest purchase in order to help me do that. So, key message for the day, for the cabin chat today: try and get your ducks in a row. Figure out what it is that's most important that you look at and try and stabilise. So, your own personal economy, finances, food supply and availability and cost, energy supply and availability and cost. Those are key things as we head through the end of this year and into next, because all of these crises that we've got going on, they're not going to suddenly stop. Even if the war in Ukraine stopped tomorrow, the impact of that and all of these other things that we've got going on, they're going to take months, and in some cases perhaps even years, to get back to where we were literally a year or two ago. So there we go. I hope I haven't doom and gloomed you too much, and I've tried to end on that positive note. Thanks to all the comments on last week's video. I did pose a question about cabin chats, were they beneficial or not. So I got some really encouraging comments. Thank you very much to everybody who did comment. And feel free, if you've not seen it, go back, have a look and add your comment. And indeed do that with this one. Wherever you are, wherever you're doing, I hope you are staying safe and well, and that these mini crises we've got are not impacting you too badly, and that you're taking whatever precautions, preparations you can to mitigate the effect of them as we go through the rest of the year. I have got a couple of little jobs to do here, but predominantly I want to get back home, do some jobs at home, and more importantly for you guys, I guess, get a video done on my recent purchase and the addition to my own personal preps for resolving any issues that these crises might throw. So whatever I am doing, I'll keep you posted in the video. Catch you all later. Well, there we go. It wouldn't be the weekend without the greenery for the chickens. All busy pecking away there. Cockerel's looking at me suspiciously. He does get ruckusy sometimes. I have to be a bit careful around him because he's a bit of a big bruiser. And he does like having a little peck now and again, or sometimes quite a big peck. And the claws on his feet, I mean, apart from being huge, they're bloody sharp. He has caught me a couple of times as I've been roaming around in the coop or the pen. But I do enjoy watching them. And this little red one is always here. I will give you just a very, very quick run round. The only real difference, look at all these flowers and chili pods on here. There's millions of them, and more of them are turning red. You can see more and more. I'm really pleased with the chilies. A little bit worried about the weather, cooling down now, but I think these pumpkins, I keep looking to see if there's any sign of a sudden spurt, but you know, they just keep putting out more flowers, but the actual pods, or what I assume are the pumpkins, don't honestly seem to be getting any bigger. Plenty of them, but they just don't seem to be doing anything. They don't seem to be increasing in size. So I suspect as this weather turns colder and colder, I suspect that apart from lots of flowers and growth, not much else. Just been running around trying to put a bit of water in the garden room in the polytunnel. I am going to lift one of these buckets of potatoes for sure today, because I do need some now. I think I've got about 3 left, which is not enough for next week. I am also going to start cutting back these cucumbers and tomatoes. I mean, they are still producing. They are still producing, but it is getting a bit silly now. And in all honesty, although I am picking tomatoes, they are tiny. This variety of tomato is just not me. They're far too small for what I want them for. And despite the fact that they continue to pump out flowers, I think it's time to have a cull. Well, I said I was going to do some potatoes. I've had to move around to the front of the polytunnel because the wind is picking up, and apart from the fact that it's blowing my plastic sheeting off the ground, it's a bit bloody cold. So I've at least got a bit of shelter here. I'll see how I get on with this bucket. If there's not many in, I might harvest another one. I did notice though that this one's been pecked to death by the crows, which have brought quite a bit of the potatoes up to the surface. That's one of the old tubers. So some of them are tinged green where they've been pulled up to the surface of the soil and exposed to the sun. But we'll see what we've got. And I can always lift another bucket if there's not many in here, because I have got plenty to go at still. I keep harvesting, but I did take the opportunity to plant a lot more this year. Some of these old tubers are remarkable condition. You'd expect this to be fully rotted, but it isn't. Or am I speaking too soon? Ah dear. Yeah, yields, I think I've said this before when I've been harvesting. I think the yields this year are dramatically lower than they were last year. Tuber size is definitely smaller, and the actual quantity that I'm getting is far less than it was. That one's just started to rot. Far less than it was last year, but at least I'm producing, because a lot of people this year haven't been able to. With the pests and the weather, a lot of people have just had no... That looks almost new still, that potato. How bizarre. Yeah, a lot of people have had a lot of failure this year, so wherever I am getting, I guess I shouldn't be complaining. And I'm not, really. Whilst it's done with the objective of producing food, which clearly it is, producing food, I also get a great deal of satisfaction out of it. So it's not just about the food. Though the way things are going, pretty soon, that's all it might be about. The way that prices and availability are going. I think we're about at the end of this one. Yeah, there's still a few coming. I can hear it in the trees behind me. Don't know if you pick it up on the video or not. That's a green one. This is the surface now, or what was the surface. Yeah, there's a lot of pigeons fighting behind me in the trees. It's green. Well, there we are. That's it. I can't complain too much, but I think I will get another bucket. So I'll put this back and grab another one, and then I'll show you what we get at the end. But to be fair, that's not bad. Well, I took a second container. I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've still got 7 left to harvest down the side of the polytunnel here. Plus, of course, I've got 3 more growing for succession planting in the polytunnel. I'll take a little look, see how those potatoes in the cabin are going on. If they've chitted more, I might be tempted to pop those in as well. But that's what we got from the 2 containers. The second one did have a little bit bigger potatoes in there, but still not big really. I mean, you're talking about large egg size, nothing dramatic, but they are all clean. There's no rot or skin scab or anything like that. So all in all, can't complain, and that'll keep me going this week. Well, I've had a bit of a tidy up in here. Got rid of the cucumbers from this side, which has revealed the cranberry plant finally, which was getting a bit buried under all the foliage. It's amazing how you pluck through and find items you've missed. I mean, look at that. That's well overripe, but it'll come in for seed. And I have plucked a few more from both sides. I've left a couple of little vines just running across the end here because they are still producing cucumbers. So hopefully, having had a good thin out, whatever's left in terms of plant energy will go into these remaining vines, and I'll get a few more off. Those potatoes are planted, doing real well despite the cold temperatures. Plenty of sprouts coming out of there now. No sign of the one I did last week, but to be fair, that's a bit too soon to show any signs yet. You never know though, maybe by next week we've got some green pushing through. I'll bob in the cabin, I'll show you the cucumbers that I've taken while I've been thinning out. Have done really well, I have to say, with cucumbers this year. It's been surprising. I wish the tomatoes had done the same. So there's the potatoes I lifted, very nice. And there's the cucumbers I've lifted. I'll pop this one in the cabin to collect seeds from. I'll just have a quick look, see what those potatoes in the cabin are doing, and if they're ready for putting in the ground, I'll put them in the ground. If not, then I'll leave them for another week and call it a day. Well, that's it for another day. Oh, fear not. I am heading home to upload this video, but also to produce another one. So hopefully you'll get a bit more content this weekend. Sun's made an appearance over the trees. Very bright actually, looking at that. So it might actually get out to be not too bad a day, but I don't know if you can see all those clouds. I suspect there's more rain to come yet. And that wind with the temperature is actually quite cool, even when I'm walking across what is bright sunshine. It's still not what you'd call a warm day. Anyway, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, hope you're staying safe and well and enjoying your weekend. And I'll catch up with you, hopefully fairly soon, in the next video.
Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. Just feel free to leave them in the comments section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.